Greetings, folks. Iolair here. This is the second of two videos that I'm doing today, July 2nd, to cover announcements Wargaming has put up on the World of Warships development blog. I'll leave a link to the first video I did, which covers some in-testing changes that Wargaming has made to, or is making to AA. Go watch that video or just read the article. It's fairly short, but the potential impact to AA is significant. And so if you're interested in that, that's a good video, or at least the article is a good read. This video will go over the changes or content that Wargaming is announcing for 097. This is the second part of the German aircraft carrier event. It includes not only content for the Germans, but also has a very significant or long-standing request from the user base around usability with regard to consumables, some announcements around rank sprint, and also some pretty cool-looking camos that Wargaming is coming out with. So the first thing is Wargaming will be introducing a collection or a new collection for 097 as part of the second part of the German aircraft carrier event. This collection, once complete, will allow players to mount a second flag on German ships, as well as an alternate color scheme for camouflages, the same way that we can for most of the other lines or nations in the game right now. I think this is generally perceived as sort of a little bit overdue by a lot of players, because the Germans have been in the game for a long time, and other nations which did not have as deeply developed lines they developed their lines later than the Germans, actually got a lot of these sort of cosmetic benefits earlier. So it is good to see that this is coming. I don't know, it doesn't say in the article how involved or what exactly is going to be involved in terms of completing the collection, but based on some past collections or recent collections, it's been pretty straightforward to complete these, and I think that Wargaming will make it fairly accessible even for players that play co-op regularly or whatever, which is the right way to handle it. There will be some dedicated containers, which is the second image here that we're seeing around the collection. I don't know if this will be the only way to get the collection items, or if they can be done through some other containers, which we'll get to here in a moment. The second part of this article goes over a very long-standing usability change that players have asked for literally years, and that is to be able to configure which slots consumables go into. And so the sort of animation that you're seeing here is presumably the mechanic where you can unlock a some sort of UI component to move your consumables around, so you can decide which slots you want to put them into. And apparently you will be able to, or the choices that you make will be saved on the server, so that if you end up moving to another machine to play, like you have a laptop that you play while you're traveling or whatever, all of your preferences will be preserved through the server. So that's good. It isn't clear to me whether this is going to be configurable per ship. I suspect it will be, or whether this is on a sort of a global basis. It looks like, based on the way that the UI is rendering here, I'm assuming that this will be on a ship-by-ship basis. There's a brief one-line announcement about the ranked sprint event that will be based on Tier 9 ships in a 3 versus 3 format. This will be in late August. I'm suspecting, or I'm hoping, this is just my personal speculation, I don't have any news on this, that the announced upcoming premium Tier 9 German battleship, the Pommern, which was formerly named the Ludendorff, will be part of this, or can be part of this. 3 versus 3 format invokes the images of clan brawls, and clan brawls is kind of the forte of the German battleship. So I'm kind of hoping that the Pommern will be part of that mix, and players will be able to use her. The next part of the article covers 2 new combat flags that are being added to the game. So the first one is X-Ray Papa Uno 1, and this is the one that's on the left here, and this will increase the smoke generator action time by 15%. So the way I read this is that smoke deployment time will be increased by 15%, not that the smoke duration will be increased by 15%. In other words, if you're in a ship where the smoke deploys over a 10 or let's say a 15-second period, then that will be extended by 15% or another, 2.4 seconds. Whereas, or did I get the right? I'm 2.25 seconds, excuse me. If you, but it doesn't change the duration for how long the smoke actually stays active. The second combat signal is the Sierra Bravo, and this one will be incredibly useful, especially for cruisers. And I think also for destroyers. It will extend the hydroacoustic search action time by 10%, and it will decrease the cooldown time of defensive AA fire consumable by 10%. So ships like the US Navy light cruisers, which carry both consumables, most definitely will benefit from a signal like this a great deal. I think this could be very useful on a lot of destroyers that carry hydro. Obviously, the German ships and German battleships with their hydro would likely benefit from this. So there's lots of applications here where I think that this could end up being a very useful signal indeed. So I think that's a good add. The next announcement on the article was that 2 new types of containers are being added. Presumably one is standard, the one here that's at the top of the screen, and then a premium down here. And this is for the Kriegsmarine. And I don't know, it doesn't say in the article whether this is also a method for completing the collection or whether these are part of some sort of other activity. Excuse me, but in any event, presumably there will be some sort of goodies that you can get in these, whether that be some of the red, white, blacks, camos, the signals, and so on. So kind of a standard complement of goodies that come in containers that come with these events is, I think, what they're doing here. Okay, now Wargaming has also announced that the Iron Cross permanent camouflage will be available on the 2 upcoming premium German ships, the Tier 6 aircraft carrier Erich Löwenhardt and the Tier 9 battleship, the Pommern. This is, again, the ship that was previously named the Ludendorff. So they will be picking up this new Iron Cross permanent camo, presumably as a separate purchasable camo. And then we get to a new permanent camo for the Atlanta. And I think this one looks so cool. So it's got the palm trees on the masts, and it's got some plants on the turrets, and it's got this sort of turquoise blue hull color. So I think this is a really cool looking camo. And I expect that this is going to be a separately purchasable camo for the Atlanta. So for you Atlanta fans out there, this is a very cool looking camo indeed. I think it's obviously going with a summer theme. In fact, that gets me to the next announcement. There will be an expendable camouflage called Summer. And this one's being modeled on the Montana that presumably you can earn or buy or pick up through various events over the summer. So some pretty cool cosmetic things from a camo perspective. And then the last part is Wargaming appears to be working on 9 patches for country symbols. This is obviously Brazil here. I'm not sure I recognize these other ones. Maybe somebody with a background in heraldry or excuse me, country symbols could speak to what some of these other ones are. Obviously, they haven't filled in all of them. There's either these are still in process or still being worked out, or they wanted to keep them secret until they're actually announced. We'll see. But in any case, these are going to be some new patches that can be picked up or earned. So that was the content of the article. So this one obviously is much more upbeat than the first article or the first video that I did earlier today. And again, with this article, I'll leave the link to it in the description below. But as I always do, I strongly recommend everybody bookmark the World of Warships development blog. I'll leave a link to that in the article. In the description below. It's the best source in my experience to get upcoming content that's officially announced by Wargaming, and is generally a very, very good resource. So I think that's it. Feel free, obviously, to leave any questions or comments that you have in the comments below. And with that, we hope to see you out there on the virtual seas, and we wish you happy sailing.